AI destroying books, modern book burning. What's the solution? We'll go over some of those today. Make sure you watch this full video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You like this video. You check out the links in the description in the comment section for my other YouTube channels. If you're curious about stocks, documentaries, gematria, anything along those lines, you can find the other type of content I do. But for Rare Books USA, this is all for my rare books, vintage books, antique books, reselling business. And this topic we're talking about today is a big one. It's not a new one in the grand scheme of history, but it's a big one. And it's something that we need to consider as sellers within the industry and buyers and collectors within the industry on how we navigate this this ever-changing technological world, that's very fast-paced, and things are becoming more digitized, a lot less tangible, more digital, a lot less analog, and that comes with pros and that comes with cons. And so today we'll talk about what's been in the news a lot. The AI companies are buying these antique books and destroying them. And so here are a couple article titles. AI companies are reportedly shredding millions of books after using them to train AI models. Giant tech giants outsource to middlemen to secretly buy up books for training material. And this came from Tom's Hardware. You can look it up. Buy, scan, destroy, repeat. There's another title from futurism.com. You can look up these articles. These are both really good articles. The top one talks about some lawsuits the tech giants have been a part of because of copyrights and the way they're doing things. And this next one talks more about the destruction. AI companies are buying antique books, ingesting their contents to train models, and then destroying them at incredible scale. Okay. And so this little photo right here, which is a video, you can see this industrialized hydraulic cutter is right on the spine of this vintage book. Could be antique, all we know. It cuts right on the spine, boom. And now the industrial sorter can then scan all those pages. And so that it's helping the different AI models, especially Anthropic and Claude, to have the type of ancient knowledge, forgotten knowledge that it wouldn't have without those books, right? It's digested so much of the information online. Now it needs so much more, and they're feeding it tangible, real books that are supposed to be for people and collectors and sellers alike, for industry that's been around for hundreds of years. And so please check out those articles. The top one talks about like $1 million lawsuits, and the next one talks a little bit more about Anthropic and what they're doing. But they're spending a lot of money to do this, to train their models, to make sure they have accurate information. They're not really caring about the process after. They're making these books into pulp, and that's not good. It's just waste. Say if they use these books, but then they rebound them for public consumption after, and they could even resell them for their own profit if they wanted to, but they cleaned them up afterwards. I would love that. You have so much money. I think people would be on board with AI companies doing that, because it's like a win-win situation. They find books that maybe not be in the best condition. They chop off the spines a little bit, they clean them up, rebind them, and they can get back in the public, where, hey, the chat bots still get their information, but we're not losing the recipes. And so let's get into the solutions for sellers, or things to think about, right? And what does this mean for the industry? One is keep sourcing, right? If you're an antique vintage book reseller, collector, keep sourcing great books. There's so many great books out there. Book burning is nothing new. They've been burning books since books have been around, right? For different religious reasons, political reasons, ideologies. There's books, there's been great books that have never been read or have maybe been read a couple of times that we'll never see again, with amazing information, maybe that could solve so many different of the world's problems. But due to different disagreements, ideologies, wars, they'll never see life again. So that's just the process of the human world we live in. Books will be destroyed for many of different reasons. That shouldn't stop us from doing our job, and that's sourcing great books for our customers. You keep selling. The next one, you keep selling. There's so many people out there, younger generations too, that are seeing this, and they don't even like it, right? They grew up in the digital world with not much analog and not many books, but they're seeing just destruction of history, and that's not sitting with them in a right way. They love their technology, but they're like, you shouldn't be doing this. So this kind of is a jolt for not only the older populations, but for the younger populations and preservation. So keep selling, because there's a lot of people out there who still want these books, who need these books, institutions that need this for their own models, their own beneficial purposes, and they're not going to trash the books. So it's not just AI companies that want them. There's institutions as well. And when you become a bigger player in better books, that's who's going to buy your books. You always want to keep preservation in mind. And what I mean is, if a book is, really in bad shape, in poor condition, the binding's messed up, pages are falling out, but it has good art prints in it, I will pull the art prints out to preserve that, and maybe trash the rest just because it's unsalvageable, not salvageable. But if a book just has minor binding issues, or I can put some glue on it and put it back together and make it better than what it was before, I will 100% always do that. I think that's the humane thing to do for society and the moral thing to do for the industry. If you can save a book legitimately within your means, do so. But it's totally okay if a book's already essentially destroyed, you want to pull some of the things out, pull the parts out. I think that's socially acceptable. But what they're doing, AI companies are doing, are taking whole books that are readable and saleable, and destroying them for their own uses, and kind of locking away all that data for themselves. That's not okay. And that goes against what books are all about, going back hundreds of years, many hundreds of years, maybe thousands at this. No, multiple hundreds, like multiple hundreds for sure. Understand value of inventory. Yes, this is a bad thing, but also understand, that the value starts going up on antique books now. That's kind of a good thing out of negativity for sellers, right? AI is destroying the supply. So the rare just now became rarer, right? I'm thinking about books I have super antique from the early 1800s, 1700s, like, the price may have just gone up on those, right? Which is good for me. So just, understand the value of inventory in mind. If something has value, price it accordingly. Don't undersell it. There's a time and a place for things to be undersold or for reasonable discounts. But if you're selling a $500 antique book for $20, you're hurting the game. You're hurting the system, right? It's not even about the money. It's about the system and industry at hand. If $1,000 book is supposed to go for $1,000, don't sell it for $1. If you honestly know what is it about, if you sell it for 500, shit. If you sell it for $4, that's fine if you need the money. But selling it for $1, not really respecting the value of something like that, that hurts the game. You want to also educate buyers of importance when possible, when they're buying important books. valuable books, educate them why it's so important and valuable to preserve this and to keep this and collect this. And if they decide to sell it one day, you want to make sure it goes to a good home. Obviously, you can't control what somebody does with a book once you sell it, but you can try your best to guide them in the right direction of importance so they cherish what they just had, they just bought. All right. That's just another solution. Understand book burning is as old as books themselves. So you don't want to get overly worked about it. This is, a multiple 100-year-old profession. There's again, ever since books have been made, there's been booksellers, book traders, book dealers, and they've been burning books. There's been hostility against books throughout the years, throughout the centuries. So this is nothing new. It's going to survive it just like it survived the Kindle and audiobook. It's going to survive it just like it survived the wars and, all those different large flames that, have took down cities and libraries, because there's a lot of people that understand the importance of having books out there in the world. And don't be afraid of technology. Use that to your advantage, right? Yeah, AI is eating a lot of books, but that means you'll be able to find books as well. All right. It has more information to give you better information, to be a better bookseller, to have more quality information. So it's a double-edged sword. No, I don't want them destroying books at all, honestly. But what I want the AI systems to have the information so I can have better, more specific information to have a better business, 100%. I just don't want them destroying books. I want them to have the information, but how they get it is really important. So, you still want another solution. Lastly, is like you want to still leverage technology and AI when possible in a biblio-humane way. Understand that books, paper products, ephemera, it's all important. It all needs to be preserved as history for the future humans that will walk this earth, so they can understand who we were before we where we were now, and in the present we are at now. So we just have to make sure we're staying parallel and staying aligned. Because the only way the book industry survives is if it continues to grow with the times. And up until this point, it has. At one point, the book was technology. Now it's like a commodity utility. That's usually how things go. But how can we keep this very utilitarian and commoditized, so where AI doesn't think, it's trash? So it's up to us as sellers. There's, I gave you a lot of solutions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different solutions. If you want to check out these articles, you can. It's really important that we stay aware, we stay honest, and we do the best we can by our customers for our book businesses. Okay. And so, that's what I have for you guys today. Check out my channel, other channels, and like the video and everything like that. But with that being said, Art Turner, Rare Books USA, Data Productions Media, I love you all. See you in the next video.